ng Diyos, Apostol Renato Di Carillo, pansamantala po kami nagpapaalam at nag-iiwan ng isang matagumpay at pinagpalang gabi sa buhay po ng bawat isa. To God be the glory now and forever. Amen and amen.
Top-rated music station at Dekada 80 on WBS.
Pag gusto niyo mag-start siya, baba mo na lang. Ito na lang control mo.
He tried to hide his feelings, but they only gave him away. The longer I listened, the more I kept wishing I knew the right words to say.
All right, good evening, friends, wherever you are. Okay, our time is 7:02. We are here coming live from Paragon Building, DWBL 1232 kilohertz in your AM band. We have a great discussion later on. We have here Steve. How are you, Steve?
I am doing excellent, thank you.
Great.
Mabuti naman.
Mabuti naman. So at least you're trying to speak little on Tagalog, in Tagalog. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to speak a bit more on, not a bit, but more on English, because we're going to offer this program to some other countries like the United States, wherein Steve, we're going to, what do you call this? You're going to
share it.
Share, yeah, share. So
get the word out.
So, what's your experience today? How's the travel going here?
Well, you know, I would be untruthful if I said I didn't have a little bit of a headache. The horns that were honking, I don't know what good that does. Those horns, they just kept honking, and there's no way that the people in front can get out of the way. There's about 1,000 buses and cars on EDSA, so yeah, it was quite interesting. Took a couple hours to get a distance that I could have jogged. Next time I might just run here.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared a while ago because I might be alone on air. So thanks God because you're here. So to all Filipinos friends, wherever you are, I say it again, good evening, and I hope you are enjoying listening now our program Pamilya at Kalusugan. In other words, that is family and health. So Steve will help us to discuss some issues which is very important or relevant nowadays. So maybe later on we can discuss more. Yeah, what can you say?
And
Steve?
people can call in after
the
first half hour at least, or something like that.
Sure, good that you mentioned that. We have numbers that are available now. We have the line 1 631 2646. Line 2 631 2647. We have also our mobiles 0918 925 7980, 0908 559 9341. How about yours? You wanted to say it on air?
On my phone number, it's okay, no, because I travel a lot and I'm here as a guest, but the ones you gave are fine, and I think it's good to write these numbers down now, early in the program, so people can start gearing up to call.
Yeah, that's
Get
good.
ready to.
That's correct. So how about your website that they can?
Well, I have a website that is, you know, I actually had a meeting today to improve it a bit, but it's kalapahouse.com.
So what is it?
So kalapa is a Hawaiian word, and it has a number of meanings. Some people have said it means a crossing, or one meaning. You know, there's half the letters in the alphabet in the Hawaiian language, and so I was born in California, but raised and spent a lot of my life in Hawaii. So it's KOLAPAHOUSE.com. And it's derived from the Kalapa House of Charity, which was a little homeless shelter. It's a place where I took in people off the street and helped people that were in need.
So, can I fall in line?
You know, it's interesting. One of the people that came to my facility was the brother of a governor here in the Philippines.
Oh, who is he?
Well, it's Mercado from Southern Leyte.
Wow.
And he was in his 60s. The market crashed in '08, and he was working at the Hyatt, I think the Hyatt Regency or something like that. And so he about in his 60s, and his face it crashed, and so he was laid off and needed a place to transition, apply for his retirement early.
Oh, okay, that's good. At least
All kinds of people from every country, Filipinos,
yeah, all walks of life.
Europeans, Australians.
Okay, and that's great because you are starting building relationship with Filipinos, and we are.
Right.
Are we quite good?
Well,
You should say
I've
yes.
made 14 trips, so yes. I mean, I wouldn't be coming back 14 times. I've found people here to be very, very considerate and very kind, and the hospitality is good. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in the Filipino people. Probably more so than my own country. I've started to become more Filipino.
Okay, so I'm going to announce again our numbers. If you have some questions regarding our topic today or tonight, we are going to discuss about vegetarian or vegetarianism. Okay, so our lines 631-2646, 631-2647, 0918-925-7980, 0908 559-934. I'm not sure this number of Marlene is correct. 0908. Okay, never mind. Anyways, I'd like to the good news of our discussion today is because there are only real people who are discussing this topic, because not all people, not everybody wants to hear this topic, because a lot of questions arises from this topic. So we're going to discuss here tonight about vegetarianism or vegetarian. So I would like to ask you, let's define what is vegetarian.
Well, the word vegetarianism really comes from vegetables,
Vegetable.
which means
Mhm.
anything that's a plant or from a plant source. So that was the original. Vegetarians were really supposed to only eat plants, but it extended into the animal kingdom to where eggs and milk and things were included in the vegetarian diet, and then that's more of a trend or a culture thing. So then they came up with the word vegan, and if you're a vegan, then you're totally free from all animal products. So that's kind of but I like to say that I'm a true vegetarian.
How long would it? How long?
How long have I been?
Yes.
Well, a lot of people ask me why do I have the authority to talk on this subject? One is because I am a vegetarian from birth. My father was a vegetarian from birth, and he was born in 1905. And so me being born in the 60s, being a vegetarian from birth, and I really truly mean that. I have not ever eaten meat. And you think, well, haven't you eaten this? And what about at people's house? Well, I read ingredients, and if I don't know what it is, I don't eat it. I don't just eat it and hope that it's okay. I read it, I have to know, and if I don't know, and if I'm hungry, I just don't eat. I just fast. Sometimes it's good to fast, it cleanses your body. I'm not going to die missing a meal, so.
But I'm not sure if you're working in an office or in a construction works. But later on we'll discuss about it.
I've done a lot of that kind of work, construction, hard labor, so I'm not unfamiliar with that.
Okay. Can you say there are types of vegetarian?
Well, like I say, the vegan is the new trend, which is totally plant-based, no animal product whatsoever, and that's me.
How about
as well?
Some kind? Like, have you heard of lacto-ovo? Vegetarian?
Lacto-ovo? Well, that's dairy products.
Dairy products. Those people who eat plants, as
And dairy.
herbs, and dairy products,
Right.
and also the lacto-vegetarians
Yeah, with milk. Yeah.
with milk. So
So those are different categories, but I'm not in that category. and
I know
That's
you
another
are
subject.
the vegan. You're the vegan, right?
yeah, the question is why, right?
Yeah, sure. That's the.
We'll get to that.
Sure. So at least we were able to
Establish my authority.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm alive, right? I haven't died yet.
Okay. So, like what I said earlier, that some people are allergy of this subject because it causes a lot of questions, or it pose a lot of questions. But since then, um, can we discuss the benefits of being a vegetarian? What are the benefits? Like you can I guess
Benefits.
Oh, you can say more because you are a
Okay.
vegetarian.
Wow, that is a power-packed, loaded question. The benefits of being a vegetarian. I mean, I could go down the list. There's a lot of reasons why people are vegetarian. One is for the health benefits. One is for the benefit of the animals. One is for the benefit of the environment, the world. One is for the benefit of their family. One is for financial benefits. One is for not having to have the health care plan or the medical expenses. And the other is for your spouse. Sometimes, you smell better if
Okay.
you're eating plants. You're not processing the toxins of the animals also. So, I mean, I'm just kind of joking about that, but really it is multi-beneficial. There's so many different reasons that you can benefit from that. So health especially, the benefits with regards to health, when your body's healthy, you resist cancer, you resist heart disease, you resist, I mean, those are killer diseases that are prolific around the world, but especially in developing countries and countries that have fast food restaurants popping up everywhere, and people are able to get these foods more readily available, meats, for example. So, yeah, so avoiding cancer, avoiding heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, things like that.
Okay. As I've noticed nowadays, a lot of people go into vegetarianism is just because they want to maintain their bodies sexy like that, or
Oh yeah, that's popular in Hollywood, and that's actually why someone was asking me earlier if it's popular in America, and I was saying yes, it sure is. In fact, I Googled just before coming here to see who's who in America who's a vegetarian, and the first one came up, Brad Pitt. Has been a vegetarian for
Really?
all of his career, pretty much. He's actually having arguments with his girlfriend at this time because she's not. And but just the list goes on and on. Everyone from Benjamin Franklin to Albert Einstein to and of course, these guys are vegetarians. Singers, Whitney Houston, and even some you see in the movies like. Some of the Western movies, you'd think they're heavy meat eaters, like Clint Eastwood. He's a vegetarian.
oh, really?
Maybe sometimes they might eat fake meat on the TV to show, but I haven't seen anyway.
But in real life,
But in
are
real life, they
vegetarian.
proclaim to be and are known, and they have camera, paparazzi, and people watching them, the tabloids, watching to see are they eating meat, and they report that they are eating a plant-based diet.
Oh, okay.
So it's a popular trend for, like you say, to look good, look handsome, sexy, and but also for health. They know that there's a health benefit, and when people are enjoying life and they have money and they want to get the best out of life, they want to feel good and be healthy.
Oh, okay, good. So let's reiterate the benefit, like have a lower body weight, how it goes, because I never practice vegetarianism. So do you believe so that it helps to lose weight? In what way? That's maybe maybe our listeners are after.
That's a
the
good question. I
research.
mean, to me, it's like, wow, that's an obvious thing. But you know, maybe what's obvious to me is not obvious to other people, because if you've been programmed your whole life to eat a specific kind of food, and that's your culture, you may not know that you can go without it. You know, some people think because you might need the protein or you're going to be lacking in something. I can guarantee you, the Carl Lewis athlete. I was looking online. Just Google. Just start looking it up. Heavyweight champions, bodybuilders, boxers. Mike Tyson was a vegetarian. Many of these the strongest men. They're in a completely different category. So you're not going to lack in nutritional ways. So you don't have to worry about that. But the benefit when you don't eat fat, I mean that's a whole different subject, obesity. But clearly, eating fat is part of it, and meat is made up of fat, protein. You know, so by getting that out of your diet, of course, you're going to benefit immensely through looking better, looking healthier, and looking good, and that's an important thing.
How about cholesterol? Because I guess two types of cholesterol. There is a good and bad.
HDL and LDL.
Yeah. So how?
Well, there is no bad cholesterol is not in our. I mean, it's not what our body produces. The bad cholesterol is from an animal that we eat. Okay, so all bad cholesterol comes from an outside source, from dietary sources, from animals. There is no such thing as plant cholesterol. It doesn't exist. All cholesterol, the dietary cholesterol, comes from animals.
So how are you going to maintain or to have that good cholesterol in our body if you're just...
Your liver makes it. Your body makes cholesterol. You don't need cholesterol. It's not. You don't need to consume cholesterol. In fact, the best amount of cholesterol to consume is 0. You don't want any cholesterol outside of what your body makes entering your body.
How about the oils that we use in
Well,
cooking?
oils, now that is, I was at an interesting doctor symposium, and a couple top-notch doctors in our country were having a little, not really an argument, but discussion over oils. There are, of course, healthier oils. Like extra virgin coconut oil, oils that are not highly heat processed, flax extra virgin flax oil and extra virgin olive oil. However, the body is not, it does not handle and deal with concentrated oils very well, because the liver has to process all those oils, and so in doing so, there are problems that occur with the body and with the endothelial cells in the arteries. And so Nathan Pritikin, Dr. Pritikin, was a famous doctor who discovered that any kind of oil, practically, if it gets in the blood, you just drop oil on in a cup of water and you see that it spreads out and it starts coating the sides of the cup. And when it coats that, it starts to block and the edges of the wall of your artery, and it starts to restrict, and it starts to build up a layer, and then of course your arteries start to get smaller and your blood pressure starts to go up. You understand?
Yeah. So maybe I'm starting now using the coconut oil, but
Yeah.
it's expensive. Not everyone.
Well, we're getting into a different subject about oil.
Yeah, because it's part of
Yeah.
the cholesterol that we're referring here, that good cholesterol can be taken also from the plants, right?
There's no cholesterol in plants.
So,
Cholesterol comes from animals.
animals that purely from
100%
So,
cholesterol.
so
There's-
okay, continue.
Well, I was just going to say there's a lot of jokes in America that you can't mail order, you can't, eBay, you can't sell any kind of plant-based cholesterol. It just, people know. It doesn't exist, in other words. There's been some scams where they tried to but people are onto that. People know. Cholesterol comes from, the liver makes your cholesterol. The animal's liver makes the animal's cholesterol. But it's a different kind of cholesterol, and it doesn't do good in our bodies.
Okay, so now I understand. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe my next question is: does the plants give all the nutrients that we need in our body?
Well, I think the proof is in the pudding, as we say. Look at people that are eating only plants, like, for example, myself or my father.
Mm-hmm.
National Geographic set out to find the healthiest people on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a group of people in my neck of the woods, as we would say, including my father and people in my own church in
Mhm.
Southern California. You can Google that as well.
Mhm.
Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan, and in the Tibetan mountains or in Hunza area. And these people are all vegetarians. So I would say, and this biblically, talking from the Bible, before meat was introduced at the flood, people lived to 1,000. Methuselah was 969 years
Mhm.
old. So people lived a long time. People are healthier. Just if you start doing the research, you start to find some amazing things. And what's interesting, we're in an age of information, and so information is readily available. And of course, you have to check it to validate it to make sure it's true, because you can't believe everything that's on the internet. But if you research and you
Mhm.
start to find out the facts, it's pretty shocking.
Okay, so that's true as well because a lot of information now in the internet. So we have questions here that I need a further clarification, should I say?
Sure. Ask away.
A lot of questions are coming in. So, is vegetarianism popular in America?
Well, like I say, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, I lost track going online today, this afternoon, to look up all of the vegetarians, famous people,
Mm-hmm.
movie stars, singers, rock singers. I mean, some people that you would just think, wow, they must be a meat eater, like the singer of Motley Crue and Prince, and
Mhm.
all these are kind of wild guys, that they would be a carnivore, be eating meat, but they're not. They are plant-eating people. So yes, it's extremely popular, and the popularity is growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's health for some, but like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
people want to look good. They want to look. It's the outward appearance that they're
Mhm.
after. And of course, as a Christian, I believe that we should look at the heart. We should work on our inward
Mm-hmm.
beauty more than the outward. But people are interested in it for that, and there is such a destruction of the United States and the world from the production of foods to feed the animals.
Mm-hmm.
80-90% of corn and oats is grown to feed the cows to produce hamburgers. So that's taking a tremendous amount of resource, water, soil,
Mm-hmm.
and if that corn or oats was fed to people in Africa that are starving, in Ethiopia, starvation would end.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very easy to end hunger on planet Earth if the grains, the healthy grains, the oatmeal,
Mhm.
maize, as we would
Maize.
say, corn is fed to people. And this fact alone upsets Americans. Americans are very giving people. We love to give. When Yolanda happened, the typhoon,
Mhm.
I mean, I was on a plane just a couple days after, rushing there
Mm-hmm.
to aid and help, not for any pay, but just
Mhm.
to help.
Mm-hmm.
And many other Americans. I mean, it was interesting because people are fleeing out.
Mm-hmm.
Even the missionaries, LDS missionaries, are fleeing out, and they're saying, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going there," and they said, "We're told to leave. Everyone's leaving." So, yeah.
Okay, you said a while ago you've never been eaten meat. So the
Yes.
next question is, does it cost more to be more
To be a vegetarian,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
it cost more?
cost more?
Well, certainly, if you put your value on your life and on your health, where's the value? On a peso, a dollar, or your life? So that's a big question. However, does it actually cost more in pesos or dollars? It actually costs a lot less. You just check the price per kilo. What's the price of meat per kilo versus okra or potatoes or beans or rice or all of the different things you see at the market. When I go to the market, there's so many foods there. I'm just like overwhelmed with choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is cheaper. It's cheaper because it costs less. The food costs less. It's cheaper by the kilo. It's cheaper because you don't have to pay the medical bills. You don't have to buy the medicines. You don't have to pay the doctors. I haven't been to a hospital for sickness in my entire life.
Really?
My father didn't go to the hospital. I've never had even an aspirin or any medicine in my entire life, ever. Not even one time.
Mm.
So that's a pretty big savings, I would say.
Because in reality, here in the Philippines, maybe because our fruits, vegetable, and grains
Now, I
are
agree
more
that fruits are a little higher.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So unlike in the United States, our fruits are cheaper.
Fruits really should be eaten less than the vegetables because they're a cleanser. They're a little higher. I mean, they're sugar.
Mm-hmm.
The vegetables should be the vegetables and grains
Mm-hmm.
and potatoes and cassava and things like that. Rice, of course, is a staple here, but I eat brown rice or red rice. I eat anything that's darker. You know, the whiter it is, the less nutritional value and the more starchy it is. So, but I find at several stores in the Manila area that are readily available, it's the same price for brown rice. They say it costs a lot more, but I find at
How much?
the grocery store 55 pesos a kilo,
Mm-hmm.
and then I see the white rices are that or more. You know, some are 40 something or whatever, but it's in the price range.
Yeah, but according to, if we say, how about those people who are earning just average income, so it's really hard for them to have all these things. But like what you said,
If it costs less,
Mhm.
whatever they're gonna, what would they? You tell me, what would a person with the little income, what would they buy to eat? I know, I've been here, but
yeah, you
usually
know.
it's white rice and little fish and bayan, you know, something,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
So we have another question here coming
Okay.
in. So is vegetarianism is religious practice? Is it?
Well, for some people it is. Certainly, if you believe your body is a temple, and
Mhm.
that the Holy Spirit lives within you, and you believe that Jesus died for you, He purchased you, that you belong to Him,
Mm-hmm.
your body is His, your life is His, the time that you live, your time is His. So the Bible says, "Thou shalt not steal that which is God's. Thou shalt not kill." So if you believe that, then you're going to want to do everything possible to take care of what is God's because it's His. So you would study and research and find out the best food, and if you find out that vegetables are better than something else, and the something else is going to be a detriment or cause you harm,
Mm-hmm.
then you could say it's a religious practice. But I don't like to say that because really, the word religion, I mean spiritual, is a little bit better. It's for spiritual reasons. It's
Mhm.
for your mind is clearer, so you can communicate with the Holy Spirit a
Mm-hmm.
little bit better level than being, when you're tired and you can't think and your mind is thinking groggy, as we say, sluggishly or slowly. Then it's hard. But no, it's not. It doesn't mean that if you eat meat, you're not going to go to heaven.
Mhm.
That's clear. Meat-eating people will, I believe, be in heaven. As Christian people, we believe in a heaven, right? We believe that this world is a training grounds for the world to come, and we look forward to heaven. So no, it's not for that. It's not a religious practice.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making that clear?
Because I've read an article about India.
India, yes.
Yeah.
In India, of course, and
Yeah.
some of the other countries, Hinduism it's a religion, and what they eat is part of their religion.
Ah, I see. So
Of course, there's some health benefits to it.
Yeah.
They're healthier sometimes. And the Russian and Greek Orthodox, they have what's called Lent. It's a time period within the year that they eat only vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a religious practice. So yeah, but for me, and what I advocate, and as a health enthusiast, going around the country teaching this. It's strictly for your own benefit, health-wise, and living longer. You know, living long isn't really the goal. Of course, we want to be around for our kids, but if you're, and grandkids and great-grandkids, etc. But if you're not feeling good and if you're not healthy, you'd rather just die earlier, right? But if you're, so it's the quality of life that's important. Living healthy and being able to enjoy life. And that can be achieved. It is being achieved by hundreds or thousands of people around the world through eating a plant-based diet. It's proven. There's no questions anymore in the medical arena. There may be some differences of ideas and thoughts, and I'm sure people listening to this, there's some physicians out there, and I love them guys. I'm so glad they're there to help us when we get hurt, but there's just not a lot of training on this. There's not a lot of, even in the nutritional courses by colleges, there's not a lot of, the information is coming to the Philippines slower than in the U.S. I think it's been in the U.S. for a while. The last 10 years it's increased, and so it's become more mainstream, and since I've been coming here for 14 years, it's just trickled in slower. And I hope I can be an influence in helping more and more people know that you can be healthier if you eat a plant-based diet.
Good. Okay. So you mentioned a while ago also about religion. Does the Bible teach about eating meat?
Well, yeah. The Bible actually, God, there was no meat eating before the flood in the Bible. But Noah and the flood, if you know the story of the flood, vegetation was gone. They had rested in the Ararat Turkish mountain area. And there was no plants to eat, and God told them, and of course it was not the couples, the female and male animal, but it was the ones that were brought in groups of 7 for sacrificial purposes that they were able to eat. And of course Moses, in the books that he wrote, Deuteronomies, put down which animals were clean and unclean and which ones could be eaten. So God permitted animals to be eaten, but even in the Israelites' time in the wilderness, they wanted to eat quail because they were used to eating meats with Pharaoh. God provided it, but if you read that whole chapter, you find that God permitted it so they would learn a lesson and see what it would do, because they wouldn't believe God that it was not healthy. And so it said they died with the quail meat between their teeth, in their mouth. And so they got sick, and then they learned a lesson, and they changed their ways after that. So, yeah, it was permitted, which means, and of course the lifespan was shortened, and that's been said clearly in the Bible that God permitted it to shorten the lives because of sin. There was so much wickedness at the time of the flood, and this is a pretty much a Christian belief, I believe. I'm not sure how many people or which religions believe it, but I've heard this taught in a lot of the churches that I have attended and spoken at. So,
good. At least we're now giving the clearer information about the Bible and also the trend of the world today's. Okay. Here's another question. How to educate our children to eat vegetarian foods or diet?
well, interestingly enough, yeah, some people say, well, I don't like it, and children are the first ones to say that. There's a really, I believe, a very good person,
when you
intelligent.
were young, you're used to.
Let me just say this, that your taste buds develop in about a week. So the tongue and the taste buds, they develop, they constantly rebuild. Our cells are rebuilding. It takes about 6 weeks or so to build a new liver and the different organs and the heart and whatnot. But the taste buds, it's a week to 2 weeks, something like that. And whatever you are giving the taste buds, it's going to train those taste buds to like that. So you may not like it now, but if you eat it, see, we have the intellect of the brain. Animals use instinct, and they just eat whatever their instinct tells them to eat. or do, you know. But humans have the power of reason and intellect and to contemplate themselves and to make positive and better choices. And so we don't have to go along with our taste buds and our passions and stuff like that. And so children, when they're born and, you know, they start to eat for the first time, you feed them pretty much anything. They'll eat it. They don't care. They're just being trained by you. You know, they would eat horrible stuff. You could just imagine what they would eat. You know, they get into mud and dirt and anything, and they'll eat it. So you give them, I like to start out children when they're babies and eating bitter foods, like bitter melon and foods that aren't sweet. Never add sugar. Don't spice it up and add sugars and salts. Just eat it or feed it to them plain in nature. And so they will love those foods naturally because they've been trained. As children get older and you want to get them eating healthy again, you can put vegetables in pancakes, for example, and they don't even notice the vegetables are there because they're disguised. But also just little by little transition them into eating. I don't know of any children that don't like apples or certain like carrots, depending on how you cook them, of course. But the way that I cook them, if you use, I think that's one of the questions that someone had asked me, how to prepare and cook. If you use certain pans, stainless and multi-layer, there's certain products out there, and I know they cost, but you buy it, it lasts you your entire lifetime. So there's some ceramic cookware that doesn't stick and doesn't burn, and you can cook these vegetables. Now, eating them raw, of course, is usually best depending on what it is, but in most cases, if you eat it raw, it's going to have more nutritional value and be better for you. And, you know, if you train your taste buds again to like it, it'll even taste better. For me, cooked carrots taste better. Raw carrots taste better than cooked carrots. Let me make sure I get that right. And even okra is way better to me raw than cooked.
Yeah, I saw a lot of okras in your house.
When you cook it, it gets real slimy and but you know, other people are like, they're not used to eating it raw. And like kamote and some of those things, you have to use a grater to shred it so that it's small enough to chew and eat, and it's delicious.
So maybe the problem here is that the parents have no enough time to prepare.
The problem really boils down to, I'm not saying it's a problem, I'm just saying that it's, if you want to transition into a different way for health reasons, and you want to dabble in different cultures, okay, each country has a culture. And so the issue is, and again, I don't want to say it's a problem, the issue is people are trained to live a certain way and do things a certain way, and so their parents taught them how to do it, and then they teach their children, and it's hard to change that. It's very difficult to get out of a certain pattern. And so it takes some time, it takes some education, and that's one of my passions, is helping people that want to, for health reasons, transition into a better life, you know, diet and lifestyle.
Yeah, because especially nowadays, moms are working as well, so no more time to prepare foods for the children. But I guess this is a choice. It's a matter of choice. If you want to be a vegetarian, then you have to decide for yourself, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be like you were only influenced by somebody or someone.
Yeah.
So you have to decide.
It is very easy, and it costs less. And for example, traveling around with my kids, and you know, and I raise children. I'm actually now going to be a grandfather 6 months. 3 months from now. She's 6 months pregnant. My daughter-in-law. So I've already raised a family, and I know when we're traveling, we're hungry, let's get something to eat. Okay, get a banana, get some carrots, get some, they're called like finger foods. You don't need plates, you don't need spoons, you don't need any, there's no wrappers and no garbage to, you know, litter to throw in the garbage. Just, you know, in a lot of cases you can eat the whole, you know, the whole thing. And it's healthy, and they enjoy it. So to me it's simpler. But to some people, and this is true, I got to say this, there is a feeling that you get when you eat meat, when you eat animal products. It's a feeling of satisfaction, fullness. The stretch receptors of the stomach are affected. It doesn't have any fiber. It's very heavy. And so, but I've never felt that. But I know it because people that I work with tell me, oh, I still feel hungry. Okay? But that goes away. Do you know that hunger, the feeling of hunger, if you stop eating, goes away on the third day? So you can, your body adapts and changes, and you won't notice that anymore. My mother became vegetarian at 12 years old. Completely changed without any, going back at all, ever. And she said it was not hard. She was so happy her mother made the change after hearing my father actually do some health lectures. And that was back in the 1930s or 40s. Yeah, she was born in 39, so in the 40s. So, and then later, my mother and father married. And I will say this, my father was, and mother married when he was 55, and she was quite a bit younger. And they traveled around the country teaching this stuff for 10 years. And then, at 65 years old, my father settled down and started a family. I was born, and my sister, when he was in his 60s, 65. And then at 75, he started a farm, built a house out of hollow block, like the Filipino style, but in America. And in his 90s, he was so active and so healthy and traveling. It was a real inspiration to me.
So we have another question here.
All right.
Do vegetarians need multivitamins or supplements?
Well, certainly if you have been, and of course I'm not a licensed nutritionist, I'm not a medical doctor, I am only excited about healthy living, and I help people in different countries. In my country, I'm considered a health coach because doctors tell the patient what to do, but they can't do it. For example, they try to quit smoking, they can't, so they need someone to help motivate them. And so, ask that question. So for supplements, I want to make sure I answer this just right and not get myself into trouble because I'm not a licensed nutritionist. But I can tell you, from what I have known, if you have been eating animal products and meat, you're going to, and you become vegetarian, folic acid, B12 are two nutrients that a lot of people lack in. And so it's recommended. I'm not recommending it, but if you would go to a doctor or a nutritionist, they would recommend that supplement to you. Now, people say, where do you get your folic acid or B12? I feel fine. I would imagine that I get it from the same place that the cow gets it, or, I mean, I really don't have the answer for that, except that I believe my body was built and created by God. And so if the cow can have folic acid or B12 and that, actually B12, then my body should be able to have it too, which is true. So B12, there is B12 that's manufactured in your mouth for bacteria, so that's true. So, but still, I think if you've switched over, that may be, there's some supplements that you can add to your diet. One thing, fiber, because animal products don't have fiber, you become sluggish in your movements, and you, like lazy bowel syndrome, and people get colitis or Crohn's disease or diverticulitis. These are bowel disorders, and so they may need to take extra fiber or something to help movements go when they're eating animal products. When you become a vegetarian, the fiber, there's a change that happens, and some people panic and freak out because they're not used to how the body is working when there's a change. So I'm just giving heads up and on that, to not be too concerned, but to, see your doctor. It's important to be monitored health-wise with your doctor.
So how about vitamin C? How many kilos of lemons?
Calamansi. Vitamin C is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's in foods, of course, and there's been different ways of putting it into pills. And you know, I've listened and I've watched and I've read and
Mhm.
studied and researched this subject, and I just haven't found any substantial or conclusive evidence that vitamin C too much can harm you.
Mhm.
Of course, you're gonna urinate it out, the
Mhm.
excess, and it could be a waste of money buying too much. So, I mean, using too much. But certainly there is a threshold. There's a point where you've had enough, and your body will just get rid of the rest. But it's a very, very good thing if you have a cold, something
Mhm.
coming on, that fever, or vitamin C is a wonderful thing to take. I would highly recommend that.
Good.
Just
okay.
as a person, for
Okay.
myself.
Because a lot of people are thinking that when I eat purely vegetable or fruits, does it give
Well,
me-
there's a lot of vitamin C in fruits and vegetables,
Mhm.
so it's pretty hard to be deficient in that if you're eating proper amount of fruits and vegetables. It's really hard to be. Now, organic versus, and that's a big question too, and that's probably
Mhm.
something that if people were to call in, that's one of the things they're going to be asking is,
Mhm.
what about organic or non-organic? Of course organic is better, you know?
Mhm.
And so there is more nutritional value in an organic vegetable or fruit. But I don't like to make that an excuse to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and eat something that's less, healthy just because I can't get it organic. Just eat the best you can possibly eat in the food category.
How about
Plant-based.
how about protein? Protein is coming from
Well,
meat. Red meat.
protein is an interesting subject because there was a change that took place in America way back, and I don't know what the time. You tell me how much time we have here.
No. I'm just checking my messages.
I don't know if the phone's not ringing.
Yeah, because you are listening.
They're listening. Oh, okay.
They don't
Well,
want to be disturbed.
right.
Okay, continue about
Yeah.
the protein.
About the protein. This is a difficult subject because I don't want to upset big industries and people out there that need to sell their products, and I think people have the right to sell their products, but also we as a people have the right to educate ourselves and know
Mhm.
about protein. I would recommend that everybody listening to this would research protein, that it's possible, I'll just say that it's possible that the figures out there regarding protein are
Mhm.
not entirely accurate.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you why. My father never ate any animal products. So at 101, when he died from something, asphyxiation basically, something lodged in his throat, his body was sent down, and I had it checked for protein at a special place. In fact, 2.5 months of researching his body because he was a centenarian, a 100-year-old person that was a plant-based vegan all of his life.
Mhm.
They wanted to know what his bone density was, his calcium, and his tissue, and his protein, and he was not deficient in protein at all. So I asked some of the head nutritionists there, where did he get it? And they all said, we don't know.
Mhm.
Well, the bottom line is plants have protein. You find the best source of protein, according to a lot of experts in America,
Mhm.
who I know, is grasses and green plants. And guess what? Elephants and horses and all the biggest animals, that's what they eat.
Yeah, that's correct. How about vitamin 12?
B12.
B12.
B12?
Yeah.
Like I just mentioned, folic acid and B12. B12 is something that the body doesn't produce, but it comes from an outside source,
Mhm.
and it's a bacteria,
Mhm.
like a yeast. You can get it in nutritional yeast. There's places you can buy it here in the Philippines. I just had someone in my family ship me over a big box of it.
Wow.
So that's and it's delicious. It tastes like cheese, but it's vegan.
Mhm.
So yeah, you do have to think about foods with B12, but also it's interesting, and this is just my own theory, okay? This is not, don't take this for research this,
Mhm.
but I use toothpastes that are natural, not highly chemicalized, fluoridated, and I believe that helps in the bioactive properties in my mouth to
Mhm.
help me have the B12. So, because you have B12 in your mouth around your teeth, but when you brush with these highly, I don't want to say super toxic, but they really are, these toothpastes that are chemically derived, it gets rid of all that. Of course, you don't want gingivitis, and you don't want some of those bacteria in your mouth, but
Okay, we have another question here. He is a confirmed meat lover. How can you help this person to like vegetable or
well, the first sign of a heart attack is sudden death. So a lot of times if I just share with someone a bunch of stories and let them know, you know, as you approach your 40s, your arteries start to close up, cholesterol is floating around in your body, and if you suddenly want to do something that you did when you were younger and you forget that you're older, you know, you could have a heart attack and you could lose your life. So, you know, to let them know that it can really, really benefit their health, I think educating them, spending some time with me, okay? I'm not saying that this is possible because I'm very busy, but you can also just join my YouTube channel, just subscribe. It's Health in Hawaii.
you can
And I'm sharing my life online with the world, what I eat, what I do, how I do it. And I don't hold back any secrets. I want my life to be a living example of doing good.
so you can share your website. You can see it.
Yeah, well, kalapahouse.com is my website, but the YouTube channel, I've got, I think, about 14 million viewers right now, and a lot of subscribers, and they just, you know, I share I'm making banana ice cream. I show what I'm doing. It's very, very, it's purposely unprofessional. I want to be real. I don't want to be fake, and so I record my life, and I put it up on YouTube, and people can see what I eat and how I in fact, the last radio program, I videoed leaving the radio program last Monday, going to an Italian restaurant at City of Dreams, and that's up on YouTube and showing what we ate. We had a wonderful, elite, upper class, 5-star dining, eating healthy linguine with this nice tomato sauce.
So let's come to behavioral or the character of a person. Does being a vegetarian affect in good way to your behavior?
Well, there are books written on that, and I don't want to offend anyone, but some of the books say that when you eat meat, you take on the nature of the animal. Studies have shown, for example, I can tell you, when I shared as a young person a carrot, vegetables with 2 young children, a boy and a girl. We were in Hawaii living at the time. They weren't fighting, they were sharing it. But later the mother bought a chicken leg fried at a fast food place and gave that to them. And I'll tell you what, I was really alarmed because they were fighting, they were hitting each other, they were grabbing it. And I noticed that with the little cats that I used to, the neighbors' cats, when I would feed them. I'd feed them grains and cat food, and they would share it. All the kittens would share it. But when I went down to the market and I bought some meat and gave that to the kittens, boy, they were not sharing at all. They were ready to kill each other, you know. They were growling, and, you know, the first one that would get in on the food, it wouldn't let any other in. So I have noticed in humans and in people a different attitude when it comes to eating flesh and that sort of a thing. So again, I don't want to offend people, but I have seen it happen.
It's more tamer, more lover, more I can say also.
In fact, even in now lions, they have a need for meat, but there was a book written about a lion that was raised vegetarian, and it was known to be the gentlest, meek. You know, it never had any problems like some of the other lions that have attacked their trainers and stuff like that. So even in the animal kingdom, and there's German shepherds in the police canine unit in the United States. They have changed the diet for all those canines, all those German shepherds, to be vegan. and they say they're well behaved now. They are able to manage them better, and there's a whole article on that.
Mhm. Okay, our last question here is the vegetarian diet automatically the healthiest way to eat, or some other way?
Well, I think if you do the research, and I could go on and on, talk for hours and hours and
Mhm.
on this subject. I grew up in this. I have been enmeshed in this my entire life, going to health events and around people. I mean, I was a grown person before I even saw anyone eat animals, and I remember the first time I saw someone eat meat, and I asked my mother, "What is that?" And she told me, and I had a really hard time thinking about it, stomaching the idea. So I have been enmeshed in this. I know all of the answers. I mean, I've seen people came to live with us with brain tumors. Their tumors went away.
Mhm.
We've had people come with all kinds of diseases to live with us at our house,
Mhm.
and we didn't treat them. They just lived with us and ate our food, and they got well. And they were told they were going to die in 2 or 3 months, 6 months. There was one guy with a brain tumor. He lived years, 10, 20 years after that. I remember hearing that he was still alive, and his brain tumor had shrunk and disappeared. So
Mhm.
I think the proof is out there. Could I give a few names?
Sure.
Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, if you
Mhm.
Google that. Forks Over Knives, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead by Joe Cross.
Mhm.
There are people, Dean Ornish, T. Colin Campbell, Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Furman.
Mhm.
These are some of the names. Rewind this. If it's on YouTube, rewind it.
Mhm.
Watch this over. Look at those names. Michael Anderson,
Mhm.
Eating. Okay? So check out these names. So if you go on YouTube, or if you want to buy this online or something, movies called Forks Over Knives, Eating, Food Matters,
Mhm.
Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Mhm.
Those are very, very notable films that are now popular and changing people's lives, and they are
Mhm.
mainstream
Mhm.
allopath medicine. These are not naturopath. They're not on the fringes of mainstream. These are dealing with medical doctors and real research and showing what happens when you change your diet to a
Mhm.
plant-based.
Okay.
So biblically, I think it's true. It's the best.
Mm-hmm. So, as we wrap up our discussion tonight, I hope our listeners are benefited of what we are discussing here. So, can we suggest that we need to take a variety of foods, right? Not only for a particular, like kamote tops and okra.
You know, that is true. And I was going to say, if you're out on an island, abandoned, if you're stranded on an island, there's
Mhm.
only meat to eat, nothing else.
Mhm.
By all means, eat the meat
Mhm.
because it has nutritional value,
Mhm.
okay, along with other things.
Mhm.
But the cow or the animal goes out and grazes, and it's looking for all this food.
Mhm.
If you're not eating the meat, you need to do the same thing. You need to get a variety. You need to go out and make it a hobby, or make it a practice of changing variety.
Mhm.
And so typically here in this country, it's rice and something else, rice and something. It's not a
Yeah.
lot of change.
Yeah.
So that takes effort. But I think the human life is worth it. I think our children are worth it. And I think that I have a passion to help Filipinos learn how to do this and save money at the same time, and not have to worry about going to the hospital, getting sick,
Mhm.
and all of those things. I think it's going to be a great blessing to a lot of people.
So that's great. So we have only
We're out of
1
time.
minute. Yeah, we are run out of time. We have only 1 minute left. So can you
Say something
Say
last.
something like
Well,
last word?
I know that there's a lot of people out in Manila and
Mhm.
around the world, and I'm in Manila now, so I say that are sick, they're dying,
Mm-mm.
they're having health issues, and they need answers.
Mhm.
And a lot of people aren't getting the answers that they need.
Mm-mm.
So I would say go back to the Bible, like a friend of mine did. Start reading. Get to Genesis 1:29. It gives you God's diet. And watch Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And watch Forks Over Knives. And then you'll have a great start.
Okay, thank you, Steve, for a wonderful discussion tonight. And I guess we are going to leave now. Okay,
Do you want to give a phone number again? A cell phone number?
Yeah, if you want to contact with Marlene or
Yeah.
other number, you can